And I would like to talk to you a little bit about stories. So everyone has a story. I have a story, you have a story. Some people have a more sad story, a suffering story. But other people have a happy life, a well-lived stories. But everyone has a story. And I'm going to take some time to read to you one of these stories. So it goes like this. So 42 years ago, one of these stories began. A child conceived by parents who hadn't yet even agreed to live a life together. And this child was labeled by his grandfather as the first child in the world who was born after only 4 months of pregnancy. So if you didn't understand this, turn to your neighbor and ask, and they will help you to give you some context. So this boy grows up in a turbulent home, if you even can call it a home, with parents who had no commitment to each other, and there was no respect around, and an extra dose of disagreements. And he witnesses many things that he shouldn't. A weak father who doesn't protect and support his family. And as the boy grows up, he's not taught about love and respect and leaving some invisible scars that would take years to heal and to disappear. So it wasn't long before the boy felt really abandoned when he sees his father leaving his mother for good and leaving the home and never coming back. So amid this conflict, God begins to slowly show that he has a plan to change the course of this story, to change the boy's story. God uses a grandmother called Wanda, who also had a painful story, who also had been abandoned, and God moves her to feel compassion for this boy. So years later, it was even revealed that she had repeatedly sacrificed her health needs, even forgoing her medications that may have cost her life to help this boy build his future. So Wanda's decision to send this boy to an Adventist school, to a boarding school guided by God, completely changed the course of this boy's story. So it's there in this boarding school that now this boy, as a teenager, starts discovering and connecting with people and people who cared about him. And the word love enters finally his vocabulary. So a word that he never managed to use with his own grandmother, which for him was his mother. And he was never able to tell her how much he loved her, and that's something that he's going to carry for the rest of his life. So God continued using people to rebuild the story. And God sent mentors and brought people into the boy's life who he was sure would do anything for him. And how many times God used people to pull the boy back to the correct path when he started going away. And throughout the years, God has been showing him that although abandonment marks the beginning of his story, today the word doesn't have to be part of his life anymore. And now God gives him the opportunities to help other people build stories. So that's my story. What is your story? So everyone has a story because stories says connect people. And that's the mission of ANN. We want to connect people. We want to bring the family together by telling these amazing stories. The stories that we've heard today, stories like from the African division, stories like we've heard from Inter-America division. It gives you passion. It helps you to want to be more involved with the mission. And our goal is to feature stories that makes the viewers feel joy to belong to the church, inspiring them to get involved in the mission. So week after week, God uses ANN to share these stories with the world. And many stories comes also from this division. For example, when we celebrated Mongolian for the 30th year of the church being there, or when we heard about evangelist campaigns bringing hundreds to baptism in India, or some motorcyclists sharing their faith through a 3-day caravan in Malaysia, or even a restaurant in Bangkok that transformed into a place of worship. So these stories help us to connect. These stories, they inspire us to continue doing what we do. Pastor Williams always uses an analogy that I love, and I've been stealing it for a while now, that he says that the church can be compared to a marriage. If you're married, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't talk to your wife and you start living separate lives, very soon you start losing respect for each other. Very soon you start losing that feeling of being together, of doing things together. And it's impossible to maintain a relationship without communication. And yesterday also Alisa mentioned that she talks to Morea, her daughter, every day. They share experiences, they talk, they ask how they're doing in their lives. Morea is far away in Andrews. If they didn't do that, possibly it would have a negative impact in their relationship because they are far away. And the church is the same. It will be very hard to keep our members, to keep the church united if we didn't communicate, if we didn't share stories. Because stories, they motivate, they strengthen us. So imagine someone in a remote location in Africa hearing about the work we do in South America, or someone in the 1040 window who was once touched to contribute to the mission because they heard the transformational story. So a lot of our church members who get baptized in small churches, for example, and that's the case for my church, they have no idea how big we are, how diverse we are, the projects we get involved in. And if you look around, our diversity, the differences that we have, that united, combining a beautiful goal for mission, it's what makes us who we are. Come on, look around the room. Look at your brother. See all of the diversity we have here in this room. I don't know about you, but I think sometimes I look myself in the mirror and say, my goodness, this is a good creation. Jesus, well done. Today, for example, I was coming for breakfast. I was waiting in line, and someone, I think that guy there, that brother there, he came to me and said, he asked me, do you like going to the gym? Do you like training? I was a bit surprised by that question. I said, yes, a little bit. He said, yes, you look good, you look strong. That made me feel really good. So we need to be able to share our stories with our church members. So ANN is the official news channel of the church, and we are committed to continue telling these stories. And currently we do this in two formats. We do this via our website and social media, so in written format. And we also do it in video format. We distribute our 28 minutes program every week through Hope Channel, through Novo Temple in South America, and also our YouTube channels. We also publish several articles every week, articles that come from your fields with your collaboration, telling the world what God is doing through your lives and through your ministries. And I would like also to publicly thank all of the divisions represented here for all of the stories you have been sending us. Like, for example, Edward from SST, every time I get in contact with you, Edward, asking for more B-roll, for more photos, or for more videos, you're always there to support us. So thank you very much for that. So ANN existed in English for over 10 years before we realized as the General Conference as a whole that it was important to start talking to people in their own language. And as it was mentioned already, 3 months before the General Conference, it was decided that we should start communicating to people in English, Portuguese, Spanish, and French, because we realized that these 4 languages were languages that were spoken in at least 2 divisions. And if we communicated in those 4 languages, we would pretty much be able to connect with about 80% of our church. But we didn't stop there. Our aim is to keep increasing the amount of languages to the ANN portfolio so that we can communicate better. So today, for example, we have on our website, so this is the version in English. We also have, there's a top menu there. Currently we have 6 languages, and this one is French, for example. We have Hindi, we also have Swahili, and at the moment we're working on languages like German, Russian, and other languages that will be part of our portfolio so that we can connect better with people speaking in their language. And also in the ANN video, we started producing 4 languages a while ago, and I would like to show you a quick teaser of what this looks like in the different languages.
Cyclists bring hope to United Kingdom's northernmost region.
Let me go back a little bit so we can get the audio up.
Cyclists bring hope to United Kingdom's.
Okay, start again.
Cyclists bring hope to United Kingdom's northernmost region.
Carrera Solidaria de ADRA promueve inclusión y responsabilidad ambiental.
GAiN Ufilipino Kaskazini yakusanya mamia ya wawasilianaji katika chuo cha Adventista cha Manila.
Au Mexique, des pasteurs dialoguent et recentrent leur ministère pour mieux accomplir la mission.
Igrejas adventistas em todo o mundo celebram o aniversário 160 da denominação, levando pessoas a Cristo.
These and other stories of hope are coming up here on ANN.
So again, we want to continue increasing our portfolio of languages because we believe it's very important to communicate to our church in their local language. And it was very precious, for example, to see on Wednesday when Williams showed you the videos of Pastor Ted Wilson speaking your language. Seeing your reaction, your connection to the video was priceless. So that's what we want to do. We want to connect with you better. And our team has been doing a lot of experiments with AI to help us improve our processes, to make us more efficient, to help us even use our resources better, being able to do more with the resources we have. ChatGPT, for instance, has been helping us to polish our scripts, has been helping us with the initial translations. And there's also another platform we use every week for ANN, which is called 11 Labs, which is an artificial intelligence platform that allows you to clone someone's voices and then reproduce any piece of text, any piece of content using that person's voice. So that's what we did with Pastor Ted Wilson's. And I want to show you another example of what we can do with this. So for example, this is Pastor Derek Morris that you may well know. And I'm going to show you him speaking in English so you can be reminded of his voice. Then I want to show you him speaking in other language using his very own voice.
About 7 years ago, I was invited to become the president of Hope Channel International. And during that time, it's grown from 43 channels to 80 channels. But I know we don't just say, well, we have 80 channels.
Okay, so that's him speaking in English. Now let's see what the next language is.
About 7 years ago, I was invited.
Hace unos 7 años me invitaron a ser presidente de Hope Channel
Can you hear his voice
y durante
in
ese
Spanish?
tiempo fuimos de 43
So that's the next one.
About 7 years ago, I was invited.
Há cerca de 7 anos, fui
That's
convidado a me
Portuguese.
tornar o presidente da Hope Channel International. E durante esse tempo, crescemos.
And French.
About 7 years ago, I was invited.
Il y a environ 7 ans, j'ai été invité à devenir président de Hope Channel International. Depuis, nous sommes passés de 43 à 80 chaînes.
So these two platforms have been helping us to do a lot of the things that we weren't able to do a few months ago. And again, has helped us to become more efficient and to do more every week. If anyone wants to learn or would like to have some tips about 11 Labs, for example, I'll be very happy to talk to you later to give some tips and perhaps put you in touch with our team so we can help you get started and increase perhaps the amount of languages that you do at the moment. Currently, these are all of the languages that 11 Labs supports. Until about a month or 2 months ago, they only supported 8 languages, so this is very recent. And we are praying and hoping that the list keeps on growing so that we can speak more and more languages to our members. So you may be, and I would like to urge you today to share more stories with us. So because we want to keep sharing the stories with the world. And you may be wondering, how can you help? So you as a reporter or you as a writer there are three main ways you could help us. You could either send us articles, so we can post them on our social media channels, we can post on our websites, and along with the articles, if you send us photos, if you send us videos, we can use them to make video stories in the format you've seen to share with Hope Channel and Novo Temple and all of our distribution channels. This is a QR code that will lead you to a form, a submission form that you can use to send the stories. The only thing we ask of you, if you want to use this QR code, is that you make sure your division is involved, because not only the general conferences would like to share your stories, every level of the church would like to share your stories too. Because maybe there are some stories that are more important for your union level, there are some other stories that are important for the division level, and the same way there are some stories we would love to share with the world. So make sure your division is always involved and they know about the stories you'll be sending us. And today I would like to ask you if we can count on you to send us more stories. Because again, our aim is to continue telling the world church the amazing things God is doing for you. So let me see your hands who would like to start sending us more stories. And be very careful before you lift up your hand. Everything is being recorded, so there's no way back. Afterwards, I'm going to make sure I get the recording and I'll write your names down. So thank you very much for your time, and God bless you, and we hope to keep receiving your stories so that we can share them with the world.